Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. They updated the dev server once again, and I feel like this is probably the last update that they're going to do. So this will probably be the last batch of vehicles since the dev server is closing tomorrow. So let's go over some of the new vehicles that they've added. I'll cover everything for you today, so don't worry, it'll be about. The first set is about some new BENELUX vehicles that are coming into the game. Of course, we have the CV9035NL. They have changed its BR, by the way, so it is at 9.7, but two more have been added to the aviation tree, starting off with the Sea Fury FB51. This is a very similar vehicle, if not exactly the same vehicle, as the British Sea Fury, which you can see here. The FB11 was exported to different countries from Britain, such as Australia, whereas the FB51 was specifically for the Dutch, so that's why it's turned up here. You can actually find it in a different part of the tech tree than the BENELUX subtree. It's between the Seafire and the MD450, so make sure to not miss that out. Labeled, of course, as a kind of what do you call it? As a naval aircraft. There you go. Sorry, couldn't remember the words in my own mouth. But the more interesting thing is this is a fighter bomber. So what that means is it has access to 20mm in the form of the Hispanos, but it also gets some secondary armaments. So you do get the two 1,000 pounders, you do get the triplex RP rockets, the huge rockets, which are pretty good for overpressuring, but not exactly great at the whole accuracy thing. And then also you get some random smaller bombs plus RP3s, which you can bring along too. So this one will be a good cast threat, whether you're using it in ground or whether you're using it in naval, and also it'll still have a good opportunity to be able to be useful in air battles too. It does have the Bristol Centaurus. You can see here the 18. It's an 18-cylinder, 2,370 horsepower. What I found while playing the Sea Fury in the British tech tree was this just felt like a slightly slower Tempest, and the Tempest Mark V and the Tempest Mark II are fantastic aircraft when it comes to playing air-to-air dominant stuff. So the Sea Fury being slightly worse still works fantastically well with it, and also having the great secondary armament really helps it out quite a lot. It does have the engine injection, which makes a huge difference. You can see here it adds 100 horsepower to the vehicle, and also all of the other performance stuff really helps it out. So once you start grinding this thing, and once you kind of research it and start playing it, don't be surprised if this vehicle is very fat, okay? Because of the fact that it is incredibly kind of chunky until you get those engine upgrades. Then once you get the engine upgrades, it will do better. So don't worry too much about that. So yeah, that's the first vehicle that's coming into the Benelux side of France. The other one is the Hawk Mk.50. Now this is coming in as a premium. It's 8,000 G, I believe. Let's just look. Oh my, come on. Where is it? There's always these things around. There you go. So the purchase for the Hawk Mk.50, 8,560 G. It's a rank 5, battle rating 8.0 jet vehicle. And the difference between this and the German one, which is right here, the Mark 100, is really not that big. So you see the tail here on the German one? Look at it on the French one. You can see the slight difference in it. That's pretty much it. So the tail on the German one is slightly taller, and there are just slight differences in terms of the way that it's set up, but that's really it. There's nothing else in terms of the differences between them. It should fly exactly the same and should kind of go around and have a bit of fun. You can find the Hawk Mk.50 right here. It's actually the only rank 5 premium that the French have access to, which is kind of a surprise. Usually there's a few more in here. And if you haven't played the German one, the closest one to this, I suppose, is the British one. But the British one has a lot less actual stuff than the other. The basic difference is the air-to-air missiles. The Seahawk FJ6, which is right here, doesn't get access to them. Instead, it gets access to rockets and also big bombs on the vehicle. So you don't really get as much of a multi-role setup in the British one, whereas for this one, in the Benelux tech tree, you're able to. So the internals of this machine, it has a Rolls-Royce Ninny, the Mark 103, which doesn't have a lot of power behind it, but it doesn't need it. This vehicle is very light, it's very maneuverable, and it generally feels really fun to fly. If you've ever played stuff like the Vampire, for example, you'll understand how nice those are to fly. Well, the Seahawk is very similar. The only thing that's kind of screwed the Seahawk is they've lowered a bunch of vehicles in BR to try and keep them away from the 9.3 area. There's stuff like the Sabre and the Mk.50, which kind of can just run circles around you. So you really have to use your missiles well, and you also have to use your maneuverability well against those things. You also have 4 20mm Hispano Mark 5s. These do a lot of damage. They're also centrally mounted, and what this means is you don't have to worry about convergence as much. 800 rounds is great for a vehicle like this, so that works fantastically well. You don't really have anything else, so not any CCRPs or RWRs or radars or anything like that. It is very much a simple aircraft in that setup. And in terms of secondaries, it has access to the missiles, it also has access to the bombs, and also all of the rockets too. So the AP Mark IIs, the RP3s as well, and also the smaller bombs. You can also use secondary loadouts, which is pretty cool. But once again, this vehicle will suffer if you really start loading it with a ton of stuff. So you have to be a bit careful about that. This is pretty much the standard loadout you're going to bring in something like ground forces. And both of these vehicles have the same BR in ground as they do in air. So you don't have to worry about, you know, the difference in matchmaking or whatever. But this means that you can get a good bomb drop off and then also fight afterwards with the air-to-air missiles. I think this is really kind of the way to go with this machine. And that's the with the German one is how I've been able to be kind of successful. So one of the important things, since these two are both cast threats, is there a 5.7 lineup for France? Of course there is. M36B2, TPK, and the M4A3E2. Even after all the APHE changes and stuff like that, all these vehicles are still very positive, they're still very good. At 8.0, you don't have a lineup, so therefore the Seahawk is a little bit more challenged. You're going to have to run it at 8.3, which is kind of annoying, but still possible, and still could be very useful. And also from the air-to-air point of view, it could also have a great setup. So for me, when I look at a vehicle like this, I see an opportunity in order to kind of grind through the French tech tree if you wanted to. There are definitely better options though, so that is, you know, something to mention. I would say that this one, if you really like the Seahawk series from Germany and also Britain, it's worth at least having a look at and seeing if you want to pick up. For me, I would probably not pick it up, just because of the fact I've already grinded through this area, and I don't think the vehicle is unique enough in its playstyle in order to kind of enjoy something different. It's still, as I said, good. It's very maneuverable. It's able to do pretty much whatever you want it to do. It's just the fact that they've moved so many vehicles down over this like recent BR changes that it's just going to get mullered. At least you stay away from that area of you stay away from that area of 9.3, so that isn't too much of an issue. But that also means that you're going to face 8.3 and 8.7 a lot, since, you know, people are trying to get downticked into theirs. So yeah, those are the two vehicles that are coming to the Benelux tech tree. Not exactly what we would class as unique, but at the same time, both usable and both pretty good. And that's the reason why a lot of the Benelux stuff is there, right? It's to make it so it is slightly better for the French tech tree, and therefore it's easier to kind of grind through. You can see also the bombs get independent bomb drops. That makes this vehicle a hell of a lot easier in order to use as a CAS element. And also one thing I didn't mention, the 20mm actually do really, they do actually pen quite a lot. So going top down on vehicles is really, really useful too. So check these out when the update comes out. I got old GE Premium and the standard tech tree one. and hopefully you guys enjoy them. As always, I hope you have a wonderful day. I'll see you next time.
I'd just like to thank GMG Smiley, CD Beans, Chieftain Mike, EMN3 Galaxy, Tulio Pontecorvo, Brendan Quinn, Carrion Crow, Gus Irenicus, Pyman, Wartinder, Teddy, Daniel Stanton, Martinez, B. Young, Ozzy Panzer, Alan Hacker, Liam Shear, Opium Prime, Lafouche, Sem, Aslan, Uncle Bean, and Derek R. for supporting the channel.